She brought food to a homeless man daily, unaware he was a disguised millionaire. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. The next morning, Emma couldn't stop thinking about the events of the night before. She had barely slept, her mind racing with 1,000 questions. Who was Henry really? How could someone like him, someone who seemed so down on his luck, be hiding the fact that he was a millionaire? The card he had given her sat on her kitchen counter, untouched. She had picked it up a few times, running her fingers over the smooth surface, but each time she hesitated to call him. Was this a joke? Was he really the man he said he was? She had to admit, it was hard to believe. After all, how could a homeless man be a billionaire? But the kindness in his eyes, the sincerity in his voice, there was something there that made her want to trust him. And yet, a part of her held back. She had been burned before, trusted the wrong people, and had her heart broken. Maybe this time, she thought, maybe this time it was different. But could she take that risk? Could she let herself believe in something so unbelievable? She ran her hands through her hair and sighed. Her apartment was quiet, too quiet. She hadn't felt this uncertain in a long time. It was like the calm before a storm. She knew she had to make a decision. Either she let this moment slip away, or she took a leap of faith and called him. And so, after pacing around the room for what felt like hours, she picked up the phone and dialed the number on the card. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times, before it was finally picked up. "Hello, Emma," came Henry's voice, smooth and warm. "I was wondering when you would call." She swallowed hard, her voice shaky. "Hi, Henry. It's Emma, from last night." She paused, unsure of what to say next. I don't know why I'm calling, but I just wanted to ask, why me? Why did you choose me?" There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Emma could almost hear him thinking. "Because you showed me something rare, Emma. You showed me kindness when you didn't have to. You didn't see me as a project or a way to make yourself feel good. You simply wanted to help. That's something very few people do. Most are too busy with their own lives, their own problems, to even notice someone like me. But you did." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had never thought of it that way. "I didn't do anything special," she said, her voice quieter now. I just wanted to make sure you weren't hungry." Henry chuckled softly. "That's the thing. It was special. And that's why I want to offer you something in return." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I want to help you, Emma," he said. "I've been where you are, struggling, trying to make ends meet. I want to give you the chance to change that, to help you build the future you've been dreaming of. You have potential, and I want to help you realize it." She couldn't believe what she was hearing. She had worked so hard her entire life, but the idea of someone, especially a stranger, wanting to help her felt almost unreal. "But why me?" she asked again. "Why would you want to help me?" "Because I believe in you," he replied simply. "I see something in you that I haven't seen in a long time. And I think you deserve better than what life has given you so far. You deserve a chance to live the life you've always dreamed of." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. This was too much. It felt like a dream, and she was afraid of waking up and realizing it wasn't real. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "You don't have to say anything, Emma," he said gently. "All I want you to do is meet me. Let's talk. Let's see where this can go. I think it could be the start of something great for you." She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words settle on her chest. Could she really do this? Could she trust him? And if she did, what would it mean for her life? For her future? But before she could second-guess herself, she heard Henry's voice again, this time softer, more reassuring. "You don't have to decide right now," he said. "Just think about it. And when you're ready, give me a call." She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked out the window, watching the cars pass by on the busy street below. The city seemed so far away, yet so close. She realized that this was her moment, her chance to step into something bigger than herself, bigger than the life she had been living. "Okay," she said finally, her voice steady. "I'll think about it. I'll be waiting," Henry replied. And with that, she hung up the phone. The room felt different now, lighter somehow. She wasn't sure where this journey would take her, but one thing was for sure. She wasn't the same person who had dialed that number just a few minutes ago. She was ready for whatever came next. The next day, Emma woke up early, the weight of her conversation with Henry still fresh in her mind. She had barely slept, tossing and turning, trying to make sense of what he had said. She couldn't stop replaying his words over and over again. I believe in you. You deserve better. It was like a spark had been lit inside her, but she wasn't sure if it was something she could trust. It all felt too unreal, too easy. Was he really offering to help her, or was this some kind of test she wasn't ready for? She sat at the small kitchen table, the sunlight filtering in through the window, and stared at the card he had given her the night before. The business card of David Carter, CEO of Carter Enterprises. She had never imagined that someone like him would even notice her, let alone offer to change her life. She ran her fingers over the edges of the card, trying to summon the courage to pick up the phone again. After a few moments, she took a deep breath, stood up, and walked over to the window. The city was alive outside, people rushing by, cars honking, the hum of a busy morning. But inside, it felt like time had stopped. Emma had always dreamed of something more, something beyond the diner, beyond the endless struggle to make ends meet. She had always known she was meant for more, but how could she take a step toward that when she was so used to being stuck? The idea of stepping into a new life, especially one offered by a stranger, was terrifying, but maybe, just maybe, this was her chance. She picked up the phone and dialed Henry's number, her fingers trembling slightly. It rang once, twice, then he answered. Hello, Emma, he said, his voice warm and calm, just like before. I'm glad you called. Hi, she replied, her voice shaky at first. I've been thinking about what you said, and I think I'm ready to meet you. There was a pause on the other end, and then Henry's voice softened, a hint of excitement in his tone. I'm glad to hear that. When would be a good time for you? Emma hesitated for a moment, looking down at her worn shoes, the ones she had been wearing for far too long. How about this afternoon, she said. I'll meet you at the cafe near my place. Perfect, he said. I'll see you then. Emma hung up the phone and exhaled deeply. Her heart was pounding, her mind racing with thoughts of what the meeting would be like. Was she making a mistake? Would she regret it? But as she looked at the city outside her window, she realized something. No matter what happened, she couldn't keep living this way. She couldn't keep waiting for change to come to her. She had to make a choice, take a risk, and hope that it would lead her to something better. The afternoon arrived faster than she expected, and Emma found herself standing in front of the cafe, her nerves on edge. She had changed into a simple dress, the nicest one she owned, but it still felt like she didn't quite belong in this world. The cafe was busy, with people sitting at tables, laughing, chatting, and enjoying their drinks. It felt like a world she had only seen from the outside, but today, she was walking into it. As she stepped inside, she scanned the room, her eyes searching for Henry. And then, she saw him. He was sitting at a corner table, looking just as he had the night before, calm, collected, but there was something different about him now. He wasn't just a man off the street. He was someone powerful, someone who could change her life in an instant. Emma took a deep breath and walked toward him. As she approached, he stood up, his smile warm and welcoming. Emma, he said, extending his hand. I'm glad you came. She shook his hand, feeling the warmth of his grip, but there was still a part of her that felt like she was in a dream, unsure of whether she was about to wake up or step into a new chapter of her life. Thank you for meeting me, she said, her voice steady now, though her heart was still racing. Of course, Henry replied, his eyes twinkling slightly. I know this is a big step for you, but I believe you're ready for it. He motioned for her to sit, and she did, feeling a little out of place, but at the same time, there was a sense of calm in the way he carried himself. So, Emma, Henry began, I want to be clear about what I'm offering. This isn't just about giving you money or a job. It's about giving you the opportunity to live a life that's truly yours. A life where you don't have to worry about the things that have been holding you back. Emma listened, her mind racing. Was this real? Was he really offering her a chance to change everything? She looked at him, trying to read his face, his intentions. I've spent my life building an empire, Henry continued. But what I've learned is that money alone doesn't make life worth living. It's the people we help, the lives we touch, that truly matter. And I want to help you find that. Your purpose, your calling. Emma felt a wave of emotion wash over her. This wasn't just about money or a job. It was about something deeper, something she hadn't realized she had been craving. She had spent so long just trying to survive. She had forgotten what it was like to truly live. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Say yes," Henry said, his voice soft but firm. "Say yes to yourself, Emma. Say yes to the future you've always dreamed of." Emma looked at him, her heart pounding in her chest. This was it, the moment where everything could change. And as she sat there, looking at the man who had offered her a chance to change her life, she knew one thing for sure. This was the beginning of something new. As Emma sat across from Henry, her heart was racing faster than she had ever imagined. His words were still echoing in her mind. "Say yes to yourself, Emma. Say yes to the future you've always dreamed of." She had never thought of herself as someone deserving of such an opportunity, yet here she was, facing the possibility of changing her life forever. The air in the cafe was calm, but her mind was a storm of emotions. Hope, fear, excitement, and uncertainty. "I don't know what to say," Emma finally whispered, breaking the silence. Her hands, once clenched tight in her lap, were now trembling slightly. Henry leaned forward, his expression kind but determined. "You don't have to say much, Emma. Just know that this is your chance. Not everyone gets one." His words hit her like a wave, and she felt herself drawing in a deep breath, as if the weight of his offer had finally started to sink in. She had dreamed of something more for so long, but had she ever truly believed she could have it? Henry wasn't offering her just a job or money. He was offering her a chance to step into a world she never thought possible, to build a life that wasn't just about getting by, but about thriving. She looked down at the table, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. Her life had been a series of struggles, working long hours at the diner, living paycheck to paycheck, always dreaming of a better future, but never knowing how to reach it. But now, Henry was giving her the key to unlock that future. Was she ready? Was she ready to trust in herself enough to take this leap? "What do you want from me?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Henry smiled gently, as though he had expected this question. "I want you to work with me," he said. "I don't just want to give you a job, Emma. I want you to help me build something. Something that can make a real difference in the world. You have the potential to do so much more than you think. I see it in you." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had always believed she was capable of more, but she had never had the chance to prove it. Now, someone was offering her that chance. But she couldn't shake the doubt that lingered in the back of her mind. "What if I fail?" she asked, the fear creeping into her voice. "What if I'm not good enough?" Henry's gaze softened, and he leaned back in his chair. "You won't fail, Emma. Not with the right guidance, and not with the determination I know you have. And if you ever feel like you're not enough, I'll be here to remind you how far you've come, how much you've already achieved." His words were like a balm, soothing the anxiety that had been gnawing at her for so long. For the first time in years, Emma felt a flicker of hope, genuine hope. "You really believe in me?" she asked, looking him in the eye. Henry nodded, his smile widening. "I do. I wouldn't be here if I didn't." The sincerity in his voice made her believe it. There was no doubt in his mind, and for some reason, Emma realized she wanted to believe in herself as much as he believed in her. She sat there for a moment, reflecting on everything he had said. Could she really take the risk? Could she leave behind the life she had known for something bigger? The weight of the decision was heavy, but the thought of staying where she was, stuck in a life that didn't fulfill her, felt even heavier. Emma took a deep breath, her decision slowly coming into focus. "Okay," she said, her voice steady now, filled with resolve. "I'll do it. I'll take the chance." Henry's eyes lit up with a mixture of pride and relief. "I knew you would," he said, his voice full of warmth. "You're going to do great things, Emma. This is just the beginning." As she listened to his words, a sense of excitement began to bubble up inside her. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was on the edge of something incredible. She wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time, she was ready to face it. She was ready to take the leap. And as she sat across from Henry, the man who had offered her a chance she had never thought possible, Emma knew that her life was about to change in ways she couldn't even begin to imagine. The possibilities were endless, and for the first time, she wasn't afraid to see where they would take her. In the weeks that followed, Emma found herself stepping into a world that was both exhilarating and overwhelming. The first day at her new job felt like a blur. Henry had arranged everything: her desk, her schedule, and even a personal mentor to guide her through the ins and outs of the Carter Enterprises Foundation. It was all happening so fast, and yet, somehow, it felt like she was exactly where she needed to be. Her days were filled with meetings, brainstorming sessions, and learning about the projects that Henry was passionate about. She was surprised to find that she actually enjoyed the work, the problem-solving, and the collaboration. It was challenging, yes, but it was also fulfilling in a way she had never experienced before. And Henry, he wasn't what she had expected. He was kind, patient, and genuinely interested in her ideas. He didn't treat her like someone who was just there to follow orders. He treated her like an equal, like her voice mattered. There were moments, however, when doubt crept back in. She still couldn't believe this was her life now. She had gone from being a waitress, struggling to make ends meet, to working side by side with some of the most influential people in the city. Some days, she felt like she was pretending, like any moment someone would figure out that she didn't belong here, that she wasn't cut out for this world. But every time she voiced her concerns to Henry, he was there to reassure her. "You're doing great, Emma. You have more potential than you realize," he would say, always with that steady, encouraging smile. As the days turned into weeks, Emma started to believe him. She was learning more than she ever thought possible, and with each passing day, her confidence grew. She wasn't just taking part in meetings anymore. She was contributing ideas, offering solutions, and even leading projects. It wasn't easy, but it was exactly what she needed to prove to herself that she belonged. One afternoon, after a particularly tough meeting, Emma found herself sitting in the cafe across the street from the office, sipping a coffee and trying to collect her thoughts. She had just pitched an idea for a new community initiative that Henry had seemed excited about, but she was still unsure whether it was the right direction. As she stirred her drink absent-mindedly, she felt her phone buzz in her bag. She pulled it out to see a message from Henry. "I've been thinking about you all morning. There's something I want to talk to you about. Meet me at the office in 30 minutes. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had no idea what this was about. Was he unhappy with her work? Had she made a mistake? She quickly texted back, "I'll be there." 30 minutes later, she found herself standing in front of Henry's office, her nerves almost getting the best of her. She knocked on the door and heard his voice call out, "Come in." When she stepped inside, Henry was standing by the window, looking out at the city below. His back was to her, but when he heard the door close, he turned around, a slight smile on his face. "Hey, Emma," he said, motioning for her to sit down. "I'm glad you came." She sat across from him, her hands folded in her lap, her mind racing. "What's going on?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Henry took a deep breath and then spoke, his tone more serious than usual. "I've been watching you, and I have to say, I'm impressed with how much you've grown in such a short time. You've shown so much initiative, and you've proven that you're not just here because I gave you a chance. You've earned your place." Emma felt a wave of pride wash over her. She had worked hard, and it felt good to hear him acknowledge it. But still, she was nervous. "What does this mean?" she asked cautiously. Henry smiled and walked over to his desk, picking up a small envelope. He handed it to her, and as she opened it, she found a letter inside. "This is for you," he said softly. "I want to offer you a promotion, Emma. I've seen your potential, and I want you to be more involved in the direction of this company. I think you're ready for this." Emma stared at the letter in shock. A promotion? She had barely been here for a couple of months, and now Henry was offering her more responsibility, more influence. It was everything she had ever dreamed of, and yet, part of her was still hesitant. "But, what if I mess up?" she whispered. Henry placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch warm and reassuring. "You won't mess up. You've already proven yourself to me. And you've proven something to yourself, too. You're capable of so much more than you think." Emma felt a lump in her throat. She had come so far, from the woman who had no idea what her future held to someone Henry believed in, someone who was ready to take on more, to make a real difference. "Thank you," she whispered, the words barely coming out. "You're welcome," Henry said with a smile. "I'm proud of you, Emma. Now go out there and show the world what you're made of." As Emma left Henry's office, the weight of his words settled on her shoulders, but this time, it wasn't a burden. It was a challenge she was ready to face. She had a new role now, a new purpose, and a future she was no longer afraid to step into. And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. As weeks passed, Emma continued to settle into her new role at Carter Enterprises, her confidence growing each day. The promotion Henry had offered her felt like a dream, yet here she was, fully immersed in the work that she had once only dreamed of doing. She had taken on new responsibilities, attended high-level meetings, and even started leading her own projects. Each success, no matter how small, was a reminder of how far she had come. She no longer saw herself as just a waitress with a dream. She was becoming the woman she had always hoped to be, the one who could make a difference. But despite the progress, there were moments when the old doubts crept in. Emma had always been her own harshest critic, and even with all the support Henry had given her, there were times when she wondered if she truly belonged in this world. Could she keep up? Was she really cut out for this? Her new role wasn't easy, and the pressure sometimes felt overwhelming. But every time she felt like giving up, Henry was there, a steady presence in her life. He would check in with her, offer advice, or simply listen when she needed to vent. He had become more than just her boss. He had become a mentor, a friend. One afternoon, as Emma was preparing for an important presentation, she found herself pacing back and forth in her office, her nerves getting the best of her. She had worked tirelessly on this project, pouring hours of effort into every detail. But the thought of presenting it in front of a room full of executives made her stomach turn. She was on the verge of second-guessing everything when her phone buzzed. It was a message from Henry. "I'm proud of you, Emma. You've got this." A simple message, but it was exactly what she needed. She read it again, feeling a sense of calm wash over her. Henry had faith in her, and that faith made her believe she could do this too. She took a deep breath, straightened her shoulders, and walked into the conference room with a new sense of purpose. The room was filled with top executives, all of them watching her intently as she stood at the front, the spotlight on her for the first time in her life. For a moment, she almost froze. But then she remembered Henry's words, the support he had given her, and the journey she had been on. She wasn't just the girl who had served food at a diner anymore. She was a woman with ideas, with a vision, and she was ready to share it. As she began speaking, her voice steady and confident, she could feel the tension leaving her body. She was in control, and the presentation went better than she could have imagined. When it was over, the room erupted in applause, and Emma couldn't help but smile. It was a victory, not just for the project, but for herself. She had proven to herself that she was capable of more than she had ever believed. Later that evening, Henry invited her to dinner to celebrate. When they sat down at a quiet restaurant, he raised his glass and smiled. "I knew you had it in you," he said, his eyes sparkling with pride. Emma's heart swelled with gratitude. She had come so far, and she knew. She owed much of that to him. "I couldn't have done it without your support," she said sincerely. Henry shook his head, his smile soft. "You've done it all yourself, Emma. I just gave you the opportunity to show the world what you're capable of." His words hit her deeply. She had always believed that she was unworthy of this kind of opportunity, but now, she knew she had earned it. She had worked hard, taken risks, and faced her fears, and it had all paid off. As the evening continued, Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her. She was no longer the uncertain girl she once was. She was stronger, more confident, and more certain of her place in this world. She had made it, and it was just the beginning. As they finished their meal, Henry looked at her thoughtfully. "You're ready for the next step, Emma," he said, his tone serious but full of encouragement. "I think it's time to take your place as a leader here. It's your time." Emma felt a surge of excitement and nervousness. She wasn't sure what the future held, but she knew one thing for sure. She was ready. Ready to take on whatever came next, and to embrace the future she had worked so hard to create. Weeks went by, and Emma's transformation was undeniable. She had fully embraced her new role, stepping into leadership positions with confidence and grace. Her ideas were now being taken seriously, and she was making a real impact at Carter Enterprises. What once seemed impossible had become her reality. She had worked tirelessly, putting in the hours, learning from her mistakes, and growing with every challenge. But despite her success, something had been nagging at her for a while. As her relationship with Henry deepened, she started to feel an unfamiliar tension between them. It wasn't that he was anything less than supportive, He always had been. But there was something different in the air. Emma couldn't quite put her finger on it, but she knew that their dynamic was shifting. One evening, after a long day at the office, Emma found herself sitting alone at her desk, staring out the window at the city skyline. The lights twinkled in the distance, and for a moment, she felt a sense of accomplishment. She had come so far, but now, she wasn't sure what her next step was. She had a thriving career, the respect of her colleagues, and a mentor who believed in her. But was that enough? What was she truly seeking? The thoughts swirled in her mind until she heard a knock on the door. It was Henry. He stepped into the room, his expression unreadable. "Can we talk?" he asked softly. Emma nodded, her heart suddenly racing. They had spent so much time together lately, but something about this moment felt different. "Of course," she said, her voice steady, though she could feel her pulse quicken. Henry walked over and sat down across from her, his gaze never leaving hers. "I've been thinking," he began, "about how far you've come. You've done an incredible job, Emma. You've exceeded every expectation I had, and I'm proud of you." Emma smiled, feeling a rush of gratitude. "Thank you. That means a lot." He hesitated for a moment, as if weighing his words carefully. "But there's something I need to ask. Something I think we both need to face." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure where this was going, but she had a feeling she wasn't going to like it. "What is it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Henry took a deep breath. "I think it's time for us to talk about what comes next, Emma. You've built something amazing here, but there's still more to achieve. And I need to know that you're ready for the next step." Emma frowned slightly, confused. "What do you mean? I've been working hard. I've been giving everything to this company." Henry's eyes softened. "I know you have, and that's why I'm proud of you. But you've also been giving everything to this company and to me. And I think you need to start giving something to yourself." Emma stared at him, trying to process what he was saying. "What do you mean?" she repeated. Henry leaned forward slightly. "You've been so focused on proving yourself, on doing everything right, that I think you've forgotten to take care of yourself. You've come so far, Emma, but I think you're at a point now where you need to think about your own happiness. And not just your career, but your life. What do you want outside of this company?" The question hit her like a wave. What did she want? She had spent so much time proving herself, climbing the ladder, focusing on work, that she had lost sight of what she truly wanted out of life. She had come so far, but she hadn't really stopped to think about what would make her happy beyond the success she had achieved. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I've been so caught up in all of this, I haven't even thought about it." Henry nodded, understanding in his eyes. "It's not a bad thing, but I think it's time for you to take a step back and think about what makes you happy, what you truly want, not just for your career, but for yourself." Emma sat in silence for a moment, her mind spinning. Henry was right. She had been so focused on work, on proving herself, that she had lost sight of the bigger picture. What did she want outside of the office? What kind of life did she want to create for herself? Slowly, she realized something. She had been waiting for life to give her the answers, but maybe it was time to stop waiting. It was time for her to start asking the right questions. "I think you're right," she said quietly, finally finding her voice. "I've been so focused on doing what's expected of me that I haven't thought about what I really want. But I think I need to take some time to figure that out." Henry smiled softly, his eyes filled with encouragement. "Take all the time you need, Emma. But know this, whatever you decide, I'll support you. You've already proven to me and to yourself that you're capable of amazing things." Emma felt a weight lift from her shoulders as she looked at him. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was on the right path. She wasn't sure where that path would lead, but she knew that she was ready to explore it, ready to find out what truly made her happy. And for the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of peace. She had come so far, and now, the journey was just beginning. Over the next few months, Emma focused on finding balance in her life. After Henry's conversation, she took some time off to reflect on what truly mattered to her. She still loved the work she was doing at Carter Enterprises, but she realized that there was more to life than just career achievements. For the first time in a long time, she allowed herself the space to think beyond the office, to imagine a life where she could be fulfilled in every way, not just professionally. She spent more time with friends, rediscovered her passion for painting, and even started volunteering at a local charity that helped homeless people. It was a small way of giving back, and it reminded her of the days when she had helped Henry, not knowing who he really was. That experience had changed her, but it also reminded her of the importance of kindness, of helping others when they needed it most. One afternoon, as she walked through the park after a long day, Emma found herself thinking about her journey. She had come so far, from a struggling waitress to a confident, capable leader at one of the most influential companies in the city. But more than that, she had found herself. She had discovered a sense of purpose, not just in her work, but in her life. She smiled to herself, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for everything that had brought her here. It was then that she received a message from Henry. "I've been thinking about our conversation. I want to talk to you about something important. Can you meet me tomorrow at the office?" Emma felt a flicker of nervousness. What was this about? Had something changed? She quickly replied, "Of course, I'll be there." The next day, Emma entered the office with a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. When she saw Henry's office door open, she stepped inside. He was standing by the window, his back to her, just as he had been during their last serious conversation. "Emma," he said, turning around and smiling as she entered. "I'm glad you could make it." She smiled back, though her mind was racing. "What's going on, Henry?" she asked. Henry motioned for her to sit down, his expression serious. "I've been thinking a lot about you, about your journey here. You've grown so much, and I'm proud of everything you've accomplished." Emma nodded, unsure of where this was heading. "But," she asked, her curiosity getting the better of her. Henry took a deep breath, his eyes focused on her. "But I think it's time for you to take the next big step, Emma. I believe you've outgrown your current role. You've proven yourself to me, to the company, and to yourself. And now, I think you're ready to take on a bigger challenge." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Henry smiled, his eyes filled with a mixture of pride and encouragement. "I want to offer you a promotion, Emma. A real leadership position. You've earned it. And I think you're ready to lead this company into the next phase of growth." Emma sat there, stunned. A leadership position? She had worked so hard for this, and now it was being offered to her. It felt like everything she had worked for was finally coming together. But a part of her was still hesitant. "Are you sure I'm ready for this?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Henry's smile deepened, and he leaned forward, placing his hands on the desk. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," he said with conviction. "You have the skills, the vision, and the heart to lead. I've watched you grow, and I know you can do this. This is your time, Emma. You've earned it." Emma felt a rush of emotions, excitement, fear, and gratitude all at once. This was the opportunity she had been working toward for so long, but it was also the biggest challenge she had ever faced. She could feel the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, but this time, it didn't feel overwhelming. It felt empowering. "I don't know what to say," Emma said, her voice thick with emotion. "You don't have to say anything," Henry replied. "Just know that I believe in you, and I'm here to support you every step of the way." Emma took a deep breath, letting the reality of the moment sink in. She had come so far, and now, she was ready to step into her future, fully and completely. "I'm ready," she said quietly, her voice full of determination. Henry's eyes lit up with pride. "I knew you would be." As Emma left Henry's office, the world felt different. She had faced her fears, embraced her potential, and now she was stepping into a new chapter of her life. The road ahead would not be easy, but Emma was ready to take on whatever came her way. She had finally found her place in the world, and she knew that, with hard work and determination, she could continue to grow, to lead, and to make a difference. She was no longer just the girl with a dream. She was the woman who had made that dream a reality. Months passed, and Emma's transition into her new role was nothing short of transformative. The leadership position Henry had offered her was everything she had dreamed of and more. As the head of a major project, she had become a driving force in the company, leading teams, making decisions, and influencing the direction of Carter Enterprises. The work was demanding, but Emma thrived under the pressure. She had come to realize that her true strength didn't just lie in her technical skills or intelligence, but in her ability to inspire and connect with people. Henry had been right. She was ready for this. And with every success, Emma gained more confidence, not just as a leader in the workplace, but as a person who had finally found her footing. But as much as her career was flourishing, Emma realized that something else had changed within her, the way she saw the world. The woman who had once struggled to make ends meet, who had spent sleepless nights worrying about her future, was now someone who had the power to shape her own destiny. She had a purpose, a mission, and she wasn't going to let anything stand in her way. One evening, after another successful presentation to the board, Emma found herself standing by the window in her office, looking out over the city. The view was breathtaking, the city lights twinkling below, but for the first time in a long while, she wasn't just focused on the success she had achieved. Instead, she thought about everything she had learned on this journey, the kindness she had given, the people who had supported her, and the man who had believed in her from the very beginning. Henry had always been there, not just as a mentor, but as a guide, helping her navigate the challenges of the business world and life itself. He had shown her that the key to success wasn't just about hard work or talent. It was about believing in yourself and trusting the process. She had never imagined that a simple act of kindness would change the course of her life. It had all started with one decision, one moment where she chose to believe in the good in others, without knowing what would come of it. And now, here she was, standing at the top of her game, with the world at her feet. The phone on her desk buzzed, pulling Emma out of her thoughts. It was a message from Henry. "Meet me in an hour. I have something important to discuss." Her heart skipped a beat. What could it be? She quickly texted back, "I'll be there." An hour later, she was sitting across from Henry in his office, waiting for him to speak. He looked more serious than usual, and Emma could tell that this was going to be a significant conversation. "Emma," Henry began, his voice calm but firm, "I want to congratulate you on everything you've achieved. You've exceeded all my expectations. You've not only excelled in your work, but you've also shown incredible personal growth. But there's something I need to discuss with you." Emma felt a knot form in her stomach. "What is it?" she asked, her voice steady, though her mind raced. Henry leaned forward, looking her directly in the eye. "I'm ready to pass the torch to you, Emma. I believe you're ready to take over this company. I'm stepping down as CEO, and I want you to be my successor." The words hit Emma like a tidal wave. She had worked so hard, but this was something she hadn't expected. Becoming the CEO of Carter Enterprises? It was a dream, but it was also a responsibility she hadn't fully prepared for. She took a deep breath, trying to process everything. "Are you sure?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Henry nodded, his expression full of confidence. "I'm more than sure. I've watched you grow into the leader this company needs. You've earned this." Emma's mind was racing. This was everything she had worked for, everything she had strived toward. But now, with the weight of it in front of her, she felt a mix of excitement and fear. "I don't know if I'm ready," she admitted, her voice shaking slightly. Henry smiled warmly, his eyes filled with understanding. "You've always been ready, Emma. It's not about being perfect. It's about having the courage to take the next step. And I know you have that courage." Emma sat back in her chair, her thoughts swirling. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment that would change everything. She had the power to take Carter Enterprises to new heights, to build a legacy of her own. She had already proven to herself that she was capable of so much more than she had ever imagined, and now it was time to step into her next chapter. With a deep breath, Emma looked up at Henry, her resolve clear. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady and full of determination. Henry's face lit up with pride. "I knew you would be," he said. And just like that, Emma knew that she was no longer just the girl with a dream. She was the woman who had made that dream a reality, and now, she was ready to lead, to build, and to continue shaping her future. The road ahead would be challenging, but Emma was ready for it. She had found her place in the world, and nothing was going to stop her now.